What's going on, everyone? So it is appearing more and more likely that Tabitha is a reincarnated version of Miranda, right? Now, we don't know this for 100%, but they've really kind of been teasing, and it's something I've talked about and delivered evidence on several videos, that they really do continue to be teasing these last few seasons, right? Like that Miranda is either Eloise or reincarnated version of Miranda. Is it still possible that maybe her being chosen, there's just some connection, there's just some link there? Sure, right? There's still other explanations for it, but it's also usual horror movie trope, horror show trope that reincarnation's involved. You're already kind of seeing evidence of maybe potential time travel. Like, there's typical horror tropes here, and I just think the reincarnation route is probably the most likely route they're going to go, especially after the last episode, where it does really appear to be that Tabitha is the reincarnated version of Miranda, and then you even have like Jade. Is he the reincarnated version of Christopher, right? But you start going down the list too, and it's like, okay, well, what about everyone else? Let's say that, you know, Jade is the reincarnated version of Christopher, and Tabitha is the reincarnated version of Miranda. Okay, well, is Boyd the reincarnated version of somebody? Is Donna the reincarnated version? Like, where does it start and where does it end? Is it just, select few chosen that are the new iterations of characters from the past in the reincarnated version? Is it a bloodline thing, right? There's a lot of different potentials as to how you explain that kind of connection. But here's the thing. Whatever it is more likely than not that Victor is the one that completely threw a wrench in all of it. Because everyone was supposed to die. Victor didn't. Victor survived. And we have seen when people die, new people come. And for years, Victor was alone. Why? Because maybe that's the course, right? Like, so think about it. If everybody is a reincarnated version or there is a bloodline connection or something, right? Everybody dies. There is probably at some point a hiatus because the new iteration of those people have to be born, grow up, and then go to the town. So, okay, that would explain why Victor was alone in the town for so long, because people needed to grow up. People need the bloodlines needed to figure it out, right? Like, Victor was the one that kind of threw a wrench in all of it, and he can't be the reincarnated version of anybody from necessarily the past, because he's the one that didn't die. He was the sole survivor. Could he also be the cause for the changes that have happened? Could he also be the cause for, everything that we've seen with, the trees moving? And because as soon as Ethan and all of them showed up, all of a sudden things were different, right? You start seeing Victor measuring trees, and, now it's snowing, and even the boy in white looks to be getting older, right? You have all these things that are starting to happen that had never happened prior, because Victor was meant to die like everyone else. And the reason he was alone for so long was because everybody else needed to grow up. Everyone else needed to go through their rebirth. Again, whether it's a bloodline thing or a reincarnated thing, except for Victor. Because Victor already was alive and was needing to grow up, right? And you saw that iteration. So if you have, say, Tabitha being the reincarnated version of Miranda, you just had an entire wrench thrown into the deal, right? Because, okay, Miranda had Henry, plus she had Eloise and Victor. Well, Tabitha has Jim with Julie and Ethan. And now look, Thomas, of course, died, but was that because she's not supposed to have more than 2 kids, right? Maybe Miranda had something similar happen, right? Maybe that's just a connection thing, right? If they're supposed to be very specific, okay, well then, you had a kid that you weren't supposed to have. So that could explain that regard. But here's the thing, okay? So if Tabitha is Miranda and Jim is Henry, well, Henry's still alive for one, but let's say he's a newer version, right? Henry never made it to FROMVILLE, right? He is now, but that appeared to be the boy in white, right? To help Victor, right? Because if FROMVILLE wanted to bring Henry in, FROMVILLE could have brought Henry in numerous times, right? But he never did. So I don't think that he's the bloodline. I think that he is just, he came because the boy in white wanted to help Victor, and it was like, hey, because Tabitha went into the real world and didn't complete her mission, right? Like, she went to the real world and didn't save the children, right? Unless her mission was to bring back Henry, which is what I think it was, right? So, okay, well, Ethan can't be the reincarnated version of Victor because, again, Victor's alive. Julie, yeah, she could be the reincarnated version of Eloise because, or even just the bloodline of Eloise or whatever, right? Because one, Tabitha's the mother, right? But Ethan is kind of the one caveat, right? Ethan would be the one that would be the cause for change because Victor is still alive. And Ethan was chosen by the boy in white, just like Victor was, right? There's a lot of similarities to the two. They're best friends. They have that connection and that bond now and all that stuff, right? Like, it's because, again, Victor was meant to die. Victor was supposed to die. And Ethan was supposed to be his replacement later on down the road. And Julie was supposed to be Eloise's replacement later on down the road. Well, now you've just thrown a wrench into everything. So, of course, things are going to change because everything is very particular about FROMVILLE. Right? I mean, even the monsters have patterns. They have things that they do. I mean, Randall even pointed it out. Right? Like, nothing changes. Everything's the same. Right? Victor says the same thing. Right? Like, nothing ever changes. It never snowed here before. It never did these things before. All of a sudden, all these things are happening, and it's like, this has never happened. I mean, even the boy in white said everything's changing. Everything's different. Everything's going through its own process now. And I think a lot of it is probably because of Victor. And I think that that's the explanation for why Victor was alone for so long. Right? Again, I don't know that for certain. It's just an educated guess based on, the information we have. But it's just like, why would Victor be alone for so long? Why did he go years, potentially decades, without anybody showing up? Well, if everybody was meant to die and a new version of those people were going to come to FROMVILLE, you have to wait for all those people to grow up and reach the age necessary for them to return and all that stuff. Right? So, of course, Victor's going to be alone. Of course, Victor's going to experience things. Of course, Victor's going to have to start dealing with, okay, everything's changing because he's the guy that, I don't think Victor knows that. I don't think Victor's aware of that. Right? But I think it's very odd. I think it's very strange. I don't think that that's a coincidence. I'm pretty confident that, Victor is responsible indirectly for kind of some of the chaos that's going on. And I also think that, again, if it really is the reincarnated route, or even if it's not a reincarnation route, even if it's just a bloodline route, right? Like, Victor's the one that would have ruined everything. Victor's the one that would have thrown the wrench in everything and caused the chaos. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, makes a lot of sense? Right? Victor was meant to die. He was supposed to die. He didn't die. Right? So he ended up being alone because everyone else had to be born and grow and age and all that stuff. Do you think, though, it's just Victor survived and these aren't reincarnated versions of anybody? It's not a bloodline. Again, there's still other explanations. There's still other possibilities and potentials as to there. Like I said, even with Miranda and Tabitha having their connection, that could just be like a chosen thing where, maybe she's having visions of Miranda, or maybe Miranda's kind of reaching out to her and her spirit and her essence is kind of relaying the information and implanting the visions. Or maybe FROMVILLE itself is the one that's implanting the visions and kind of showing her what had happened, right? There's still, I still don't think it's straightforward, just guaranteed, oh, that's it, we have it, right? I do think that that's going to ultimately be the result, but we can't rule anything out until we actually have full concrete, no, she is Tabitha and Jade is Christopher and so on and so forth. So we'll see how it all plays out, but whatever kind of theories, ideas, explanations you have for this, let me know down in the comments below, because I'd love to hear it either way. But that being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.